Now, is this Jose Luke Flores?
Yes, sir.
I understand, dude. I know that you're kind of busy at the moment with 2 weeks to go before the fight night, so I just wanted to try and interview you because I feel like the major market, mainstream MMA media ain't giving, well, much interest towards your fight as they are towards, the meat and potatoes, the main event of that card, which is Tito Ortiz versus Alberto El Patron Del Rio Rodriguez.
Yes, sir.
I understand, but still, you can call me Chris if you want. I don't really mind all the sir stuff. This ain't the military, but still,
you're right for sure, Chris.
I understand. But before I get to anything pertaining to your fight career, you grew up like some of these fighters on this card. I spoke to Ricky Palacios. He grew up near the U.S. border. Is Mission near the U.S. border as well?
Yes, sir. Me and Ricky actually grew up in the same city here.
Oh.
We live like 5 minutes away from each other. We actually started our amateur career around the same time. I started mine in 2009, and I think his was like 2010 or 11.
I see. But growing up near the U.S.-Mexico border, and Ricky talked to me about, the fact that a lot of crazy criminal things, a lot of smuggling, a lot of trafficking, came through from the Mexican side of the U.S. border all the way to South Texas. Was that basically par for the course for you, channeling all your energy into fighting?
Yeah, you know what? The drugs played a big role in my childhood, growing up, everybody would see the whole drug dealing game and even the drug using game, and I would say when I was a kid, I kind of fell in a little bit of both, and martial arts really gave me some type of outlet from all that, and it pretty much changed who I am. It pretty much changed the course of my life, of what could have happened, It's real cliche to say like martial arts saved my life, but it does save people's lives,
Yeah, especially considering the fact that, like you said, you and Ricky grew up pretty much in the same area, so a lot of people pretty much, had to find some way to channel themselves away from the reality lying on that other side of the fencing, or unfortunately, in the next couple of years, the other side of that wall.
Yeah, and another thing is that like 10 years ago, mixed martial arts wasn't what it was today in the Valley. Here in South Texas, people could say we're 10 years behind the evolution of anything, of sport athletics. There's not really more. Now there's somewhat of high level athletes, that come from the Valley, But being from the Valley, 10 years ago, there was no mixed martial arts, and I'm very fortunate that me and Ricky and I have found the platform to compete and fight and have these amazing opportunities that not a lot of people get. It's pretty insane where mixed martial arts has evolved to, and how far we've come in that.
I agree. And even though a lot of people would probably think, if you take the minor league soccer team and if you take away minor league basketball, which unfortunately both of those came from agreements with teams in Houston, if you take away those teams, what would you be left with over there? Nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
And the same thing goes for what used to be UT Pan American, which is now UT Rio Grande. If you take away, you know, that quality of not only college athletics, but academics as far as an option over there, you're not only left with nothing, but pretty much, unfortunately, South Texas would pretty much be a ghost town if it wasn't for, you know, that sporting structure, that academic structure, and like you said, that fighting structure.
Yeah, definitely. It's I'm very fortunate to have the opportunities that I've had, and Ricky's fortunate to have gone as far as he's had. And now our job is to show kids that there is a way and that we can make it. You know, it's pretty. It's a great responsibility to have now.
Exactly, and even though I'm somebody from Southeast Texas, more outside of the Houston area, I can totally understand that. But still, asking now about your amateur career. From what I'm seeing on Tapology, it says that you were 3-3, and you were the Texas Rage in the Cage lightweight champion. What was it like?
Yes, sir.
What was it like getting your start, not only fighting as an amateur, but fighting and ended up winning a title?
You know what? The crazy thing about that is that I went 0-2, right, as an amateur, and well, first of all, I saw Nick Diaz fight, right? Mm-hmm. I saw Nick Diaz fight Takanori Gomi, and that blew my mind. So I didn't know nothing about fighting. I just went to the closest martial arts gym that you could find here in Mission, and I wanted to fight, you know, because I mean I would fight on the weekends, or like I would fight after school. So I thought that's all you needed to do was fight, you know, because educating yourself on martial arts, you know, especially being from down here, we didn't have none of that, right? Like we were saying, and so I went 0-2 as an amateur. And then I won one, and then I said I wanna start learning martial arts, you know, because it started evolving and stuff. Like it started to get more popular, and I took 2 years off, and then all of a sudden somebody backed out of a #1 contender spot for an amateur title. Somebody got injured or something for a #1 contender shot for the belt. So I took that fight, and I fought somebody from Corpus, and I ended up beating him in the first round in his hometown. It was wild. Like the whole city was there rooting for the other guy, and I made an upset and got that victory. And then the next fight was the shot for the title. I took 2 years off. And then I jumped in, I started training some jiu-jitsu and some boxing, and then I had the opportunity to fight for a title, and I beat the guy for the Texas Rage in the Cage title, and then I went pro after that. So I took time off to learn martial arts techniques, you know?
I see, and in a way, it didn't help that you did take those 2 years off, because, you know, you don't want to try and throw yourself out there, you know, fighting day in and day out consecutively, because otherwise you would throw not only your chances of fighting pro out the window, but you would basically throw chances of fighting for those amateur titles, those little windows out the window.
Oh yeah, definitely. And another thing is that when I started, like, I didn't know anything about cutting weight. There was wrestling wasn't a big thing down here when we were young, and we didn't know nothing about cutting weight. I was fighting at 170. But then I started educating myself in those 2 years. Like, okay, you're more of a 155er, you know. You cut 15 pounds, and you fight at a lighter weight class. So I started fighting guys my body.
Your body type. Double?
Yeah. Yeah, so educating yourself on martial arts is very important. Before you jump in, because I've known from experience, like I started fighting at 170, and my frame ain't 170. I'm tall, but I mean, I'm not. I got to put on a lot of mass, you know.
And it's really, I find height to be a kind of an advantage for certain fighters. I mean, I wouldn't know anything. I'm 5 feet tall, but you're 6'1". It's hard for you to try and lose focus on your opponent's attributes. Trying to stay lanky, really, at 155.
Yes, sir.
I see, but still, now going up to your pro ranks, I know that it took you between 7 months from the Rage in the Cage title win, the Texas Rage in the Cage title win, to your debut for the South Texas Fighting Championships. What was it like going into your first pro fight against Yael Eligio and knocking him out? Was it like you were just trying to channel your... was it like you were just trying to channel yourself before that 12-second knockout?
Yeah, I would say my confidence really shot up because I knew that I had an amateur career. I won a title. I beat a guy that was undefeated for the title, and I knew I had put in the time to fight my pro debut when the guy that I fought had like two professional fights with zero amateur credentials. So like I said, those 2 years that I took off when I was an amateur, I educated myself on amateur fights, comparing it to professional fights, and just having experience, The guy I fought had 2 fights, I had 6 fights.
And to be honest, he was basically thrown right into the fray.
Yes, sir. He could say, like a lot of people don't understand that like, just because you think that you know how to fight, having experience is more humbling than that,
Exactly. Now.
Yeah. So my confidence was through the roof. So like during your whole martial arts career, right? So like you get confidence, you get humble. You get confidence, you get humble. It's like life, Like some days you're up, some days you're down. Some days you're up, some days you're down. It's the wildest roller coaster ever. That's why a lot of people compare fighting to life, Because some days you're on and some days you're off.
Yeah, and especially if you're at the top of your craft, you don't want to always look down below, because if you look down, you don't know how far of a way you will go down.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to your 5-fight run in the South Texas Fighting Championship, you defeated Victor Martinez, I think, in your 3rd fight with the promotion to become the South Texas lightweight champion. I mean, were you given opportunity? I mean, I know you defended that title against Sonny Luque before you left for the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, and also had a Bellator fight in between all that time. But what was it like fighting for that particular promotion? And not only that, but defending your championship in that promotion.
So first off, the Bellator fight, it was a great opportunity. I grew up watching Bellator, and to fight the Pitbull Jimenez. He was a known Texas fighter for a very long time. He fought Dustin Poirier. He went 3 rounds with him, and to knock him out in the first round, it was an awesome feeling, and all the hard work paying off. And then I fought Sonny Luque, which is also another game Texas fighter. I knocked him out in the 3rd round with a head kick, and my confidence was going through the roof. But during all this time, a lot of things happen in life, and like something happened to me real personal, you know, like someone passed away, and you know, you know, and you kind of lose love for like the whole, like even when I was still like winning some fights, you know, like the love for martial arts, it was there, but it wasn't as much as it could have been. And then my first loss as a professional fighting for the Contender series, that was the first time I ever fought out of the state, and in front of Dana White. That was just in front of Dana White, Snoop Dogg. There was a lot of pressure, and you know what? I learned a lot from that fight. I took a loss in the second round from an arm choke, arm triangle.
And this was against Matt Furbola, right?
Yeah, Matt Furbola. Right now he's on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, and he's a very pressure forward fighter, you know, and growing up in the Valley, you know, I didn't have a lot of confidence in my wrestling, but now I'm a completely different fighter. Going into that fight, my game plan was not to wrestle with the guy, and I'm just cutting my I'm making myself worried about not doing something. You know, I'm cutting off a weapon of mine. You know, I'm limiting myself before I even fought. And that's one thing that I will never do again, is limit my mindset and limit the things that I could do. One of the things that I've learned from that fight is that anything that they could do, I'm going to do it better. And anywhere it goes, I'm going to do it better. And that's where I feel that I have grown since that fight. And I'm looking forward to displaying that against Ismael Bonfim, which he's on a 7-fight win streak, and he has somewhat of his pressure style. So I'm super excited to outwork him anywhere he goes.
I see. And speaking of that fight with Bonfim, I mean, I know this will be your first fighter who fights outside the United States. He's a former Jungle Fight interim featherweight championship contender, and this will not only be his Combate America's debut, but this will be his first time fighting in the U.S. I mean, are you prepared for that type of competition?
Oh, I am. I've been waiting for it, and I'm dying for it. I need to. I'm looking for that same. I'm looking for that same wall that I hit my first loss as a professional, and I'm embracing it, and I want to overcome it, and I'm working really hard, and I can't wait to show everybody. I can't wait to show everybody what I'm gonna do in that situation and how I'm gonna fix it.
I see. But as far as your career in Combate America is going so far, you fought one time, I think it was at Combate 40, against Eduardo Bustillos, and you defeated him in the first round, 40 seconds, via technical submission due to an injury. I mean, what was your focus going into that fight before the injury to Bustillos happened?
So my mindset was, when I was in the back, I was thinking about that feeling I had on the Contender series. I was thinking about being in that situation where I had to overcome, and I was willing to go that far, and I was willing to come out of it, and I wanted to be put in that situation, but the fight that happened with Bustillos, I had kicked him to the body, and he cross blocked, and I broke his ulna, and then he shot in, and then I whizzered and I dislocated his elbow in like. So I watched the video and I saw his X-rays because he was a friend of mine. Well, not a acquaintance. He was an acquaintance of mine. Very good guy, you know. And we talk, and the first 15 seconds I watched the video and I know what he did wrong. He cross-blocked and he blocked with his ulna, and it broke, and then he shot in and I whizzered, and then that's when his elbow dislocated. So it was a accumulation of those two things that happened that stopped the fight.
I see. And even though it was shown live on the Univision Deportes Facebook page, which is now, I think, TUDN, I mean, even though people didn't really get a chance to see you live on television, did you still feel any pressure because of the fact that people were still finding a way to watch you around the world?
To tell you the truth, no, I did not. I feel like I let go of that in I hate to bring it up again, but the Contender series fight, you know, I felt like the pressure and a lot of things, you know, and when I'm in there, I'm only going to concentrate on one thing, and that is and that's going to be to finish the objective, you know, and the objective is going to be my opponent, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I can understand that, because, I mean, if you don't have a mindset to finish your opponent, I mean, what the hell are you going to go in there for? To fight for a decision? To fight for
Yeah,
points?
for sure. Yeah, there's one thing that's always stuck with me, and there's a difference between fighting not to lose and fighting a win.
I mean, I can understand that as well, because you want to do all you can to try and win the fight before the fight even happens. You want to try and make sure that when you step into that cage, and you're going to be stepping into that cage on the undercard, probably one of the biggest fights in Latin MMA, you know, you got to go in there with a set game plan, and you got to know how to utilize that game plan. Otherwise, if you don't, your opponent's going to take advantage of everything you got.
Yeah, you're going to be 3 steps behind him all the 15 minutes you're in there.
But another thing I want to ask you, and this is about the fight that's going to be taking over the marquee, the Alberto versus Ortiz fight card. I mean, first of all, what are your thoughts on it? And second of all, I mean, do you have a clear favorite when it comes down to this fight?
You know what? As a martial artist, I could give respect to Alberto Del Rio in fighting Tito Ortiz. But I grew up watching Tito Ortiz. He's one of the first videos I ever seen of highlight videos of somebody beating up somebody, and Tito Ortiz is he's a martial artist for life, you know, and Alberto Del Rio is gonna have his hands full, of course, and I'm pretty sure he knows it, you know. And as a purist, you know, you could say it's kind of like it's for entertainment, you know. But big props to Alberto Del Rio, because not a lot of people would fight such a game fighter that only have a little bit of experience.
I see. And as far as you fighting on pay-per-view, this is going to be your first time fighting on pay-per-view, correct?
Yes, sir.
I see. So when it comes to this fight, if you end up being impressive in this fight against Bonfim, you're going to have a lot of offers fielded your way, because you're 8-1 right now. You would have defeated a 13-3 guy who's impressive enough off a 7-fight win streak. let's just say if you win that fight in impressive fashion and you get offers from Bellator, from the Rising Fighting Federation in Japan, from the UFC, and ONE FC out in Singapore, would you obviously take one of those offers at the drop of a hat, or would you say, nah, Campbell McLaren's giving me way too much of an opportunity to not leave him at this point in time?
You know what? All those organizations that you mentioned, they're all really great. The last time I fought for Combate Americas, it was a great experience. They treat you just they treat the main event fighter just like the same as the undercard fighter, you know. Mm-hmm. And I gotta, after this fight, I just gotta talk with my team and see where the best fit is for me and my family, you know.
I see. Mostly because of the fact that you don't want to jump right at that first deal and end up making a mistake that might cost you your career.
Yeah, yes, for sure. That's definitely one.
Mm-hmm. But actually, I got a few more questions to ask. First of all, of course, I always ask this when it comes down to all the fighters that I interview, but if you were not in professional MMA, I know that you grew up near the U.S.-Mexico border. You basically have been a mixed martial artist now for just about a decade, over a decade now, between the amateur and pro ranks. But if you weren't, involved in MMA, what would be your fallback plan?
You know what? Fortunately, I had a very hardworking family. My father owns a glass business in Mission called Flores Glass, and my dad has always been a hardworking man. And he's an entrepreneur, and my father has taught me a lot ever since I was about 15 years old on how to work, on how to be a successful businessman. So my father is he's a very hardworking man, and he taught me a lot.
I see. And another thing I want to ask, is there any way that your fans, is there any way that people can get in contact with you? Is there any sponsors that you would like to give a shout out to? And also, what about your gym? Do you want to give a shout out to them as well?
Oh, definitely. So I got sponsors. Let me give a shout out to the Health Nut Mission. Let me give a shout out to Papi Chulo's Barbershop. Let me give a shout out to Guerra's Dentistry in Mission, Texas. Let me give a shout out to the Commissioner of Hidalgo, Joe Flores. He's running for the commissioner against his sixth term for the year 2020. Let me give a shout out to Hemp House CBD. Let me give a shout out to the UFC gym. The UFC gym McAllen. Let me give a shout out to Team Ferreira and all my teammates at Team Ferreira. They pushed me real hard, and they're some of the best training partners that I have. And yeah, thank you to all my sponsors. They're great.
I see. Is there any way your fans can get in contact with you?
Yeah, let me. My Instagram handle is at LukeFlow, FLO. So it's LukeFlow155, and then my Instagram is Luke Flores. And also, let me give a shout out to Yasuki Japanese Sushi. They're a huge sponsor of mine, and they have the greatest sushi in the valley.
I see. And
yeah, actually, Tito came. Me and Ricky had brought Tito over here to Yasuki. It was we had a great time. It was like a dream come true, hanging out with your childhood hero, you know.
I see. And if there's anything that you would like to say about Ismael Bonfim, or, if you want to welcome him to America with a little message, even though he probably might not understand you, the floor is yours.
Let's put on a show for everybody, and let's get that work in.
I see. Fair enough. And if there is anything that you would also want to say to fans who might not have had the chance to have seen you on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, or in that one Bellator post-Lim fight, which obviously, since it wasn't shown on Spike TV at the time, it wasn't shown at all. But if there's anybody that, you would like, damn it, what am I trying to say? If you want to say anything to fans who didn't follow you in the South Texas Fighting Championship, or in that one Bellator opportunity, or the one UFC Fight Pass opportunity, what would you say to them to convince them to, check your fight out?
On December 7th, tune in to Tito Ortiz versus Alberto the Real. You're going to see a guy that has failed many times in his life, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to take everything that I deserve.
I see. And with that in mind, one more quick plug. If you want to check out the Jose Luke Flores Ismael Bonfim fight card, damn it, what am I saying? If you want to check out the Jose Luke Flores Ismael Marreta Bonfim fight, it'll be on the Combate America's Tito versus Alberto undercard. It'll probably be shown on free preview, the Prelims, on Facebook and Twitter at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific, December 7th. But the main card on at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific, live on your local pay-per-view providers, your cable and satellite operators, and the FITE TV app and FITE.tv, hashtag FIGHT like you mean it, and hashtag whose side are you on, and don't forget to check out Combate America's on Access TV starting in January of 2020. But other than that, Mr. Flores, it's been great talking with you. I know that you gotta get to finishing up your training for these next 2 weeks, because you got a hell of a lot to do before introducing Bonfim to some South Texas MMA.
Yes, sir.
But other than that, it's been fun talking with you. May peace be with you. I'll probably be one of the main ones checking out this fight, because I just want to see the curiosity of it all. But I definitely believe that your fight with Bonfim will be an absolute banger.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anytime, Mr. Flores.
All right. Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
You're welcome. Good night.